We're back, continuing on the series of doing season recaps for teams as we lead up to the draft. Today we have the Brooklyn Nets. If you haven't noticed already, I'm doing it in order of elimination/record from worst to best. That's why it's been Washington, Indiana, and now today Brooklyn. Got to bring out the Kyrie Irving jersey. All right, coming into the season, Brooklyn Nets were coming off a 26-56 record in the year before. Expected to be in that year again. The win total was 19.5 for the season. Coming off an offseason where they had 5 first-round picks in Jaeger Demon, Nolan Traore, Drake Powell, Ben Suraf, and Danny Wolf. A lot of scrutiny behind those picks as they went 4 guards and 1 big. I don't think they capitalized on their picks. A lot of people don't think they capitalized on their picks. It was an interesting way to go about 5, in my opinion. I think they should have at least traded some of them to try and get up and get one of those studs like an Ace Bailey or something like that, but they didn't, and here we are. They also traded Cam Johnson for MPJ. They traded for Terrence Mann and Haywood Highsmith as well. Brought back Cam Thomas on the qualifying offer. We'll talk about that later. And it was clear the front office was leaning into the reset, focusing on that youth movement. As the season started, they had a 7-18 record in their first 25. Very slow and disappointing start from their rookies. Demon was looking like the only one that was legit an NBA player. He came on late. It was Ben Suraf starting there for a while, and then Demon came back from his little injury stuff and was really looking like an NBA player. Of the 5, he was only looking like one. MPJ was playing like an all-star, and I'm going to be the first to admit I was wrong. When they traded for MPJ, I thought he was going to be the worst player ever. I was like, this guy can't dribble. He's the guy that relies on the passing and gets his shots up. I sound like an idiot saying that now. He is a stud. I thought Cam Johnson was going to be better in Denver than MPJ was, just based off the stats last year. But he wasn't. And MPJ proved me wrong. And I am man enough to admit that. As the season went on, Cam Thomas went down with another hamstring injury, missed a month and a half, kind of set off that time where Jordi Fernandez really let the rookies shine there. And it's funny because as he let them shine, they're the number 1 defense in December, going 7-4 in that month. Danny Wolf and Drake Powell became huge contributors during that time, both had top 10 defensive ratings. And they were not only contributing on defense, they were contributing on offense. They're getting comfortable, getting used to the game. And then I think the organization was like, okay, guys, hold on. We want that top pick. We have our lottery. We have our own pick. We want that pick. Let's chill out. But yeah, in that time, Jordi Fernandez really showed he can be a long-term coach for this organization. I like Jordi Fernandez, coaches for Team Canada. He's one of those coaches where it seems like he really connects with the players and he gets his players to do what he wants. And it works. I think he's going to be a guy that sticks around in Brooklyn for a while. As the season continued to progress, they kept losing games, doing what they were supposed to. And then we get the Cam Thomas saga. The minutes began to decrease, body language noticeably getting worse, level of play to take a significant drop, getting DMP coach decisions, eventually leading to the wave on February 5th, ending this saga. It was a big thing over the offseason. He got the qualifying offer, bet on himself. They weren't going to give him the money that he wanted. I think that kind of frustrated him. And then we're seeing clips of him passing the ball end of the shot clock. When has Cam Thomas ever cared about efficiency or what his stats look like? He's a guy that just goes out and scores. He shoots, he scores. And it's just what he does. What he does his whole life. He's been a leading scorer everywhere he goes. A guy that puts up 40 points on the most inefficient game, but it looks like it's easy for him. But they finally come to the terms with themselves and they end the saga, waiving him on February 5th. During this time, Nolan Traore emerges in the second half of the season, took advantage of the opportunity given once the wave happened, and to add to that, the eventual injury to Demon. Nolan Traore looked really solid on both ends of the floor. He's getting passing lanes, he's getting to the hoop, he's getting his shots up, he's facilitating. He really looks like a future rotational piece. I like Nolan Traore a lot as the rookies. He was my favorite pick for them. Outside of, obviously the Jaeger Demon thing, he's going to be their guy, and he's going to be the 6'8 guard that looks really good. And the Jaeger Demon looked good. They were kind of turning him to a 6'8 catch and shoot point guard. It was weird, but when he got to facilitate and pass the ball, it was really good. I had him on fantasy. Really fun to watch him play. Then it got frustrating because he wasn't doing anything, and then he wasn't playing. Then the injury happened. But yeah, I think Demon and Traore are going to be 2 guards that kind of stick around for them for the long run. One might start, one might come off the bench, depending on what they do in the draft, or they might let them start beside each other. It's 2 point guards that can take the ball out of each other's hands and sort of facilitate and do their thing together. Post All-Star game, the team only had 5 wins, and they ended up going 20-62 after they shut down MPJ and Demon. Kind of what we had expected the second half of the season. They weren't really talked about. Nothing really went down in Brooklyn. Danny Wolf was playing good. Nolan Traore was playing good, as I just said. Drake Powell was doing his thing. Ben Suraf was in the G League. That kind of sums up what was going on in Brooklyn there. I wasn't watching games. There's no way you could have paid me to watch these Brooklyn games. I tried to watch a little bit early in the season because I had a couple guys in fantasy, so I was watching them. They were fun watching MPJ do his thing. It looked like he couldn't miss. He looked like a stud. But yeah, second half of the season, I couldn't sit down and watch a game. I would If there was another game on, I was 110% turning that game on instead. Some players I mentioned that I missed earlier. Nick Claxton. He continues to be in these trade rumors. He can't seem to get back to that 2022-2023 season where his production was off the charts, incredible. Efficiency was high. He was getting his rebounds, scoring. Everything was a career high that year. Blocks, rebounds, scoring. And it seems to kind of hurt him because he keeps being involved in these trade rumors. I personally think Nick Claxton, I'm team free Nick Claxton. I want him to see him on a contender that needs a big man. I think he could really help out one of those contending teams that's looking for a big man. He's one of those guys, he plays the game the right way, and he's going to defend. You know he's going to defend his ass off whenever he's on the floor. He's going to be around the hoop, putting the ball in a high clip. He's not going to ever try to go out of his way to do something he doesn't do. He wants to play the game the right way and the game that he knows how to play. He just can't seem to get back to that season. And I think it's hurting him. I think it's kind of why they're kind of dancing in the idea of trading him. Anyway, next up is Noah Clowney. I don't know how I haven't mentioned him yet. This guy had a breakout year offensively. He showed his ability to stretch the floor as a big. Consistency was still up and down as a problem. He ended the year on a very up and down path. Didn't hear his name much at the second half of the season, but start of the season heard his name a ton. He was having those games where he was hitting tons of threes. Just being an overall big body to help space the floor. And he took that jump that a lot of people have been waiting on. Because every year it's like, oh, Noah Clowney's going to do something for the Nets because he has all this opportunity and he never does. But this year, he finally seemed like he really locked in and took advantage of it and ended up being a solid player for them this year. I think he's a guy that they keep around long term as well for this youth movement. But he seems like he does seem like more of a bench piece for him in the future. And the last guy, a guy that I love, a guy I think is awesome and deserves more minutes, Day'Ron Sharpe. This guy is an offensive rebounding machine. Also a wicked defender at the 5. He very, very solid backup big option. I think they lock him down in the long term. I think they'd be silly not to lock him down. But I guess we'll see what they do in the offseason. Looking ahead into the offseason, they have the number 6 pick. I can see them going after Mara out of Michigan, 7'3". His metrics are off the charts. I don't know if anyone's seen the measurements from him in the combine measurements and his lane agility and shuttle stuff. He looks insane for a 7'3" big man. And he has everyone knows he's a really solid player. He's jumping up draft boards right now. I see them going after him, especially if they move off Clax, which I'm pro move Clax and draft Mara. Should they keep Clax and commit to him long term, I would expect them to go after like a Wagler or an Acuff or a Flemings or a Michael Brown. They're all going to fall in that range there, even like a Braden Burries. I only say this because none of their current ball handlers are really strong enough to warrant them avoiding a guard in the draft. They drafted 4 of them last year. None of them seem like the franchise future guard, especially with these 4 guys going to go in that range that all look like studs. I know there's the stuff about Acuff's defense. Wagler can't dunk. Burries is too small. Flemings is too small, just like Burries. I don't think there's a world where they avoid going guard, especially if they can extend Clax. Something to note, as after the draft, they do have $45 million in cap space. Some of that money should be used to extend MPJ and Clowney and Sharpe. I think they'd be silly not to use some of that money. MPJ has come out and said that he wants to spend many years in Brooklyn. He hopes he can be there to watch the franchise take off and get back to relevancy again. And he came off a year where he had a ton of career highs and a ton of stats. So I don't even blame him. He likes it there. He wants to play there. As I mentioned before, Clax is extension eligible, but honestly, there's no rush on that. He's under contract for 1 more year at a fair price, and there are many teams interested in trade. He hasn't shown the production for them to be like, hey, we gotta extend this guy, we gotta keep him down. Especially if you can get a decent offer from him from a contending team to bring in like a pick or something, or even like a rotational player. There's no rush. I would say there might be a rush to try and get better this offseason. They don't own their 2027 first. Houston has that pick. So I can see them being aggressive in free agency, especially with $45 million in cap. They might look to go after a difference maker in the draft. On top of that cap, they're in a situation where it's like, do we want to be bad and give Houston a top pick, or do we want to try and be good, get closer to that lottery, the play-in area, to give Houston a not as great pick? I mean, we have seen teams jump many times. We saw the Bulls do this, saw the Grizzlies do it this year. We saw the Mavs do it last year, saw the Spurs do it last year. So who knows where Houston ends up next year with their pick, or they try and get their first round pick back. Who knows what Brooklyn does with that? They're in a situation where they're really bad this year, and they gotta try and get a little bit better next year. To cap this all off, they extended Jordi Fernandez, which I think is a great move. He's shown to be a coach in the league that can grow with the young core. I think it's really, really huge for them that they were able to lock him down and extend him, especially if they're going to keep this youth movement. He can kind of grow with them and sort of turn them into, keep taking steps every year to turn them into a better team every year. They have the pieces that want to play there, and that's the biggest thing. So yeah, I think this extension for Jordi Fernandez is huge. To sum this all up, the Brooklyn Nets are in a weird situation where they don't have their pick and they're not very good this year, but they have the opportunity to get better, especially with the young guys developing and the young guys getting these minutes that can help them get better. MPJ sounds like he wants to be there. He's playing incredible basketball. Maybe they get some value for Clax, but they still have a ton of money and cap space to go after and get maybe not an all-star, but a solid rotational guy, a role player type of guy that can complement these players. I'm very interested to see what the Brooklyn Nets do, knowing that they don't have their first round pick next year.